our agenda. We wanted it to be a bit of a surprise, and I think she just blew everybody away this morning. So I'm going to do a quick introduction for you. Maysoon Zayid is an actress, a stand-up comedian, and a writer. She's co-founder and co-executive producer of the New York Arab American Comedy Festival. She's a full-time on-air contributor to Countdown with Keith Olbermann and has recently appeared on the Queen Latifah Show and on the Huffington Post Live. She's a recurring columnist at the Daily Beast and was a speaker at TED Women 2013. And last year on TED Talk, she was the #1 watched TED Talk. Maysoon has appeared on Comedy Central, PBS, CNN, HBO, MTV, all of the shows. And in addition to that, she is the founder of Maysoon's Kids, an education and wellness program for disabled and wounded refugee children. Maysoon was delighted to be honored as the 2013 honoree of the United Cerebral Palsy of New York City's Women Who Care Awards. Please welcome to the stage, Maysoon.
But you gotta keep your head up, let your head down, keep your head up, let your head down.
Are you guys ready? All right, here we go. Smile up there. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. Hello, Beachbody family. Yeah, have a seat. My name is Maysoon Zayid, and for those of you who don't know me, I am not drunk. But the doctor who delivered me was. So as a result, I have cerebral palsy. Does anybody else in the audience have cerebral palsy? Let me hear you. I'm going to need you to leave because I like being the only special person. But I don't want anyone in this audience to feel bad for me because I have a disability, because at some point in your life, you have all dreamt of being disabled. Oh yeah, you have. Come on a journey with me. It's Christmas Eve. You're at the mall. You're driving around looking for parking. And what do you see? 16 empty handicap spaces. And you're like, God, can't I just be a little disabled? It's a Christmas miracle. I gotta be honest with you guys, I got 99 problems and palsy is just one. In the Oppression Olympics, I win a gold medal. I'm Palestinian, I'm Muslim, I'm a woman of color, I'm disabled, and I live in New Jersey. And y'all feel better about yourself, maybe you should. There are other perks to being palsy. Like, for example, we never have to stand online. I know you guys have been online a lot. I never, ever have to stand online. And what is the greatest place on earth to cut lines? Disney! I loved Disney as a child. I used to go on Space Mountain like 30 times, and I'd come back out and see everyone sweating online under the sign that says like 2 hours till you get to the line. And I'd be like, dude, it's totally worth the wait. I just rode it 30 times. Totally worth the sunburn. And then when I was a kid, I was convinced that the teacups at Disney healed me, because after I spun around in them, I would walk straight for like 6 minutes. It really was magical. But then it all went bad. A bunch of parents decided to start renting disabled people so that they could cut the lines at Disney. And they got caught. And now none of us are allowed to cut the lines, and it's no longer the happiest place on earth. And I just wish I could have been one of those tour guides before they got caught, because I would have made it a teachable moment. I would have taken the kids away from their parents and been like, hello, Timmy and Sally. Mommy and Daddy did a very, very, very bad thing. And And you're just one little accident away from being just like me. So hold on tight, kids. Now, who wants to go on Space Mountain? I want to tell you guys a little bit about myself so that you understand my journey. I am the daughter of an Maysoon Zayid and Dr. Maysoon. My mother looks like Julia Roberts, and my father looks like Saddam Hussein. And the way that they met is so beautiful. People don't usually think of romance when they think of Palestinians, but my parents' love story should be like a Lifetime movie. They're first cousins. Yeah, my dad swears that the first time he saw my mom, he knew she was the one. And I was like, Daddy, how did you know that mommy was the one? And he said, your grandfather, he told me. And my mom has the cutest pet name for my dad. She calls him her husband. And when I was born, I was the youngest of 4 girls. And my parents didn't think that God would bless them with another female child. So they had only prepared a name for a boy. Very original, you've probably never heard it. They were going to name me Muhammad. And when I ended up being a girl, they decided to name me Muhammadiyah, the female version of the name Muhammad. Now, Muhammad is a great name. It's the name of a prophet. But being named Muhammadiyah is like being named Smurfette. Luckily, the doctors told my parents that I was going to drop dead, and they didn't want to waste such a good name on an angel baby. So instead, they decided to name me Maysoon, which means lemur. My parents named their brown, shaking baby lemur, and I survived. Another thing that my parents were told was that I would never walk. Now let me be clear, there is absolutely no shame in using a wheelchair or any mobility device you need to attain your independence. So often these things are referred to as being wheelchair bound or dependent. It's not bound, it's not dependent, it's free and it's independence. But in my case, I was born before the Americans with Disabilities Act, and my father was genuinely concerned about whether or not I would be able to function in a non-disabled friendly world. So he decided to teach me how to walk, and he had a mantra, and his mantra was, you can do it, yes you can. And he had 2 different methods for teaching me how to walk. The first was he would place my feet on his feet and he would just walk. I walked miles on that man's shoes. His second technique was to dangle a dollar bill in front of me and have me chase it. My inner stripper was so strong that I was running in stilettos by kindergarten. I grew up in a town called Cliffside Park, New Jersey. Anyone from Cliffside Park? Nice. Represent. So, I grew up in a town called Cliffside Park, which means my hometown and my disability have the exact same initial, CP. It's like they're chasing me. And my town was so diverse. There were 33,000 Italian Catholics and 6 Arabs who were all my family. Now there's 33,000 Italian Catholics and 20 Arabs who are still all my family. But I grew up in a time where no one would ever bully me for being disabled. I've had the same best friends since I was 5 years old. I grew up in a time where politicians didn't use the word Muslim as a slur to gain points in polls. I grew up in a town where my friends would take me to midnight mass on Christmas Eve and they'd be like, she's from where Jesus is from. And I'd say, I'm from New Jersey. But when my Shore every summer, my father instead sent me to a war zone. He would send me and my sisters back to Jerusalem every single summer because he was convinced that if we didn't go visit, we would forget our roots and grow up to be Britney Spears. And every single year when we went, my best friend Tina would come up to me and ask me the same exact question. She just never got it. And she would look at me and she'd go, Maysoon, are you scared? Are you scared to go to Pakistan? And I'd be like, yeah, I'm terrified to go to Pakistan, which is why I'm going to Palestine. And then I thought about it. I'm like, I'm not afraid to go to Pakistan. I'm not afraid to go to the Holy Land. I'm afraid to go to the airport in America, and here is why. When I enter the airport, security sees an Arab. And you may ask yourself, well, Maysoon, how do they know you're an Arab? You could easily be the lost Kardashian. And I will tell you how they know. I have the kind of facial hair that no waxing in the world can deal with. So not only do they see an Arab coming into the airport, but they also see a shaking Arab. And they're like, that chick is nervous. And my dad likes to drop me off, and as I mentioned, he looks like Saddam Hussein. So now I'm a shaking Arab being dropped off by Saddam Hussein. And they're like, he's not dead yet. He got better. And my dad doesn't know how to say bye. He must invoke the name of God at all times. So now I'm a shaking Arab being dropped off by Saddam Hussein while he screams, Allah man, and before you can say jihad, which is not a word I suggest you ever say in an airport at any time, I'm on the next plane to Guantanamo Bay, which might not be that bad because they say they've got beaches and I've got the body. That no dream was impossible if you just tried. And if your dream didn't come true, you could always find another dream. And like most Muslim girls born and raised in the great state of New Jersey, I had a dream. And my dream was to be on the daytime soap opera General Hospital. So I went to Arizona State University to study theater. Yeah! We're my Sun Devils! So I went to Arizona State University, and the reason I chose Arizona State University is because I went to college during something called affirmative action. And affirmative action made privileged schools let in minorities so that it could be more colorful. And apparently when they got my application, it was like Willy Wonka's golden ticket. They were like disabled, check, female, check, brown, check. So the admissions officer called me up and she said, I swear this is totally true. She said, Maysoon, we had always looked for a black lesbian in a wheelchair and then we found you. And I was like, oh my God, you are gonna pay me so much money. And so I went to ASU and I was the pet lemur of the theater department. All of my professors loved me, all of my fellow students loved me. I got A's in all of my classes. I got A's in all of my classmates' classes. They were actors, they needed me. But I never got cast in any of the shows. And I couldn't figure out why. It's like, how am I getting an A in acting class, but I can't play diner number 3? Finally, my senior year, Arizona State University decided to do a show called They Dance Real Slow in Jackson. It's about a girl with cerebral palsy. I was a girl with cerebral palsy. So I was like, free at last! Free at last! I'm on the DJ part. I am free at last. I didn't get the part. Sherry Brown got the part. So I went running, I went limping really quickly to the head of the theater department. And I got there and I said, can you explain to me how I didn't get the part that I was literally born to play? I am using the word literally correctly. exactly in this sentence. And she looked at me and she said, "You can't do the stunts." And I said, "If I can't do the stunts, neither can the fuck." Wait. If I can't do the stunts, neither can the character. College was imitating Hollywood. Hollywood has a sordid history of having non-disabled actors play disabled on screen. And I believe that visible disability, much like race, cannot be played. I say look at it this way. If a wheelchair user can't play Beyonce, then Beyonce can't play a wheelchair user. People with disabilities are the largest minority in the United States of America, and we are by far the most underrepresented on television. And we have no way of knowing how many people with invisible disabilities grace our screens every day. Because the stigma against invisible disabilities like mental health issues, chronic pain, and lupus are so stigmatized that even the biggest stars invisible disabilities are so stigmatized that even the biggest star fears disclosure. In 2010, I finally got my big break. I was called to come on a show called Countdown with Keith Olbermann. It was one of those fancy political news shows, and I was talking about the election. And I was ready for my close-up. I showed up like you guys to the 80s party, big hair, don't care, flopping eyelashes everywhere. And I was like, I am ready for my close-up. So they put me in a room with a single camera in my face on a spinning, rolling chair. So I made my television debut sitting and spinning and trying desperately not to roll off the screen. And I was livid. I had spent a decade trying to prove that people with disabilities could do everything that their able-bodied counterparts did, as well if not better. And I blew it. And I was livid. I knew they would never ever invite me back. But not only did Keith Olbermann invite me back, he made me a full-time contributor and he taped down my chair. So when I got home, I did what any actress does. I Googled myself. And I got the shock of a lifetime. I grew up not being bullied. I have the same best friends I've had my entire life. And suddenly America was playing a game of guess what's wrong with her in the comment section under the YouTube clips. See, we as a society are not used to seeing people with disabilities on television talking about anything other than being disabled. But Keith Olbermann and I had never mentioned the cerebral palsy because it wasn't the topic at hand. We were talking about politics. There was no reason for me to talk about my disability. And I sat and read every single comment. She looks drunk. Maybe it's Botox gone wrong. Is she fucking retarded? Poor Gumby-Knot terrorist whore. We should pray for her. And I sat back and I thought, should I ever go on television again? What if other children with disabilities are reading the comments on these YouTube videos and thinking that I don't want to put myself out there and have people say I'm disgusting and have them say that they want to pull up my left lip because they just can't look at me anymore? Maybe it's time for me to say no to this dream. And I sat back and I said, no, you can do it. Yes, you can. Because I believe that if we have more positive images of disability on television, there will be less hate towards our community on the internet and less fear of us in real life. Now let's switch gears. I want to learn more about you. Where are my married people at? we're not just angel special babies. We grow up and we have sex. So I wasn't desperate. If I could have married Mike, I would have married this guy named Mike. But my dad desperately wanted me to marry a Palestinian. He didn't care if he was Jewish, Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, Mormon. He just wanted him to be Palestinian. And he threatened to throw himself off the George Washington Bridge if I didn't marry a Palestinian. And I watched too many of those late night episodes of Law and Order, and I just couldn't bear the image of them fishing him out all bloated and stuff. So I needed to catch a husband. And I couldn't do what my parents did because I am way too disabled to inbreed. It's only funny because it's true. And I can't go on Match.com because typing's not my thing. So, do you guys want to know where I caught my husband?
Yes.
You want to know where I caught my husband? I went to Gaza. And the reason I went to Gaza is because they got no place to run. Here's what I did. I framed my American passport in a big gold frame like Flava Flav, and I just walked through the refugee camp going, "You want a visa, baby?" And my husband was like, "Yeah." So I'm like, "Pack up your stuff, let's go." And he's like, "I have no stuff." So when I came back to America, I was so excited to finally have a bridal shower and make back my money. I was like, "Give me those gifts so I can drop them and break them." And when I walked in, instead of a bridal shower, my best friend Tina had decided to stage an intervention. And she met me at the door with a piece of paper and started reading. And she's like, "Maysoon, the decisions you are making are affecting both you and us. And I am here to tell you that you are a free American woman, and you do not, I repeat, you do not have to have an arranged marriage." And I was like, "Tina, I arranged it." But I'm warning you, single people, marriage is a racket, and married people are just trying to suck you into their hell. Avoid it at all costs. They even convinced the LGBTQ community that they wanted to get married just so that they could suffer too. If you must get married, please wait until after you're 27. Before 27, your brain is squishy. You can't make big decisions like that. Marriage is a life sentence. You have to choose your stomach wisely. Also, if you must get married, find one that's an orphan. The rest of them come with families. Mine comes with a mother-in-law, and I feel so bad for this woman. Her son, who I call Chef-UG because he's a refugee and a chef, it's really funny. He came to America, and I was like, "Baby, you're free now. What's your dream?" And he was like, "To work in a supermarket." And I was like, "No, we're going to find another dream." Also, by the way, my husband and I, anytime we fight, I am so good at ending fights quickly and resolving conflict. I just look at him and I go, "Do you want to go back to the refugee camp?" There's no Pokemon Go in the refugee camp. You would get killed. So, anyway, mine comes with his mother, and I feel so bad for her because he's been here for 6 years. And the United States of America will not let her come visit her son just because she's on the terror watch list because I put her there. And it's not a false report because she terrorizes me. So I quickly learned after you get married that everyone is constantly asking you if you're pregnant. Like everyone thinks it's their business to ask you if you're pregnant. And no one does it more than my mother-in-law. But here's the thing. when I got married, I explained to my mother-in-law, if I get pregnant, I will drop dead like Shelby from Steel Magnolias. It's not a disability thing, it's a Maysoon thing. Disabled people can have children. I will just get killed. And Shelby had this great line where she goes, I'd rather have a moment of joy than a lifetime of nothing. And I'm like, I'll take the lifetime? Yes, lifetime. So I've explained this to her that we can't have kids and that we're going to adopt. Round of applause for adoption. And she doesn't get it because every single time she calls us on Skype, which she calls Skyping, she looks at me and she goes, so are you pregnant? Is there a bundle in the oven? You're looking very fluffy. And I say to her, I have told you repeatedly, if I get pregnant, I will die. And her response is, oh, just try once. But it doesn't end with her. I have the kind of physique that I look constantly 5 months pregnant. So if any of you are North Jersey Beachbody coaches, reach out to me. Because I've been watching you guys since yesterday, and I am impressed and ready to join the revolution. You can find me at Maysoon.com, Maysoon.com. Shoot me a message, and let's see if I can get on someone's team. But I still say, don't ask people if they're pregnant ever, because I was at the United Nations the other day, and this woman came up to me, and she put her hand on my belly, and she goes, oh my God, you look like you're about to pop. What are you doing? And I looked at her and go, I am about to pop. I'm about to pop you in the face, you bitch. Which brings me to the word bitch. I have a challenge for you, Beachbody family. I want you to stop using the word bitch. It's violent, it's misogynistic, it's not cool, and we shouldn't normalize it. But we know it's hard to stop using a word that you're used to using. So I have come up with an alternate word to say every time you want to say the B word. It's POPPLE. P-O-P-P-L-E. By round of applause, who knows what a popple is? Nice. You're my age group. For those of you who don't know, it's a stuffed animal from the 80s that had the ability to stick its head in its butt and become a ball. And it's really the perfect replacement word for the word bitch. Watch this. You're talking to someone and you're like, why do you mean such a popple? And they're like, I don't know, I need to Google that. Or here's another one, Popple, please. Or my favorite, bow down, Popple, bow down, Popple. And what you're saying is, stick your head in your butt and roll out of here. So like you guys Team Beachbody, Team Popple, we can change the world. The world is broken, but we can fix it. We can fix it by saying no to violence. We can fix it by saying no to being an internet troll and no to raising an internet troll. We grew up being told words, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, and that is simply not true. Words matter. Don't ever be the person who causes another person to harm themselves. Always be that person who empowers others. If you feel the need to go online and spew hate, I beg you instead, go do 50 sit-ups, you need it. And say no to being silenced. Your voice is your weapon against injustice. I beg you, use it.